Honorable Minister Kigaba, Honorable Minister Mashobo, Excellency, the Dean of the Diplomatic Corps, Mazadamboko, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors and High Commissioners, ladies and gentlemen, we have invited you to join us this morning as we reflect on the sad and tragic events in some parts of our country characterized by violent attacks against some of the citizens of your countries. In the new constitution of this free and democratic South Africa, we made a promise to ourselves as South Africans and to our mother continent and to the world that we would remain committed to the values of human dignity, the achievement of equality, and the advancement of human rights and freedoms.
Officials, generals, army generals, over there, we'll be dealing with these issues on the ground. After the minister has delivered her speech, I'm then going to invite the dean who will be called to make a response. Then I'm going to ask my friends from the media to take leave and go to the press conference hall where the minister will then come. Minister, may I invite you to come and address the press? Or you can address them from there. You do it from there, Minister.
Well, I am addressing the Excellencies in the presence of the media, together with the Dean. Program Director and Director General, Honorable Minister Kigaba, Honorable Minister Mashobo, Excellency, the Dean of the Diplomatic Corps, Mazadamboko, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors and High Commissioners, ladies and gentlemen, we have invited you to join us this morning as we reflect on the sad and tragic events in some parts of our country characterized by violent attacks against some of the citizens of your countries. In the new constitution of this free and democratic South Africa, we made a promise to ourselves as South Africans and to our mother continent and to the world that we would remain committed to the values of human dignity, the achievement of equality, and the advancement of human rights and freedoms, non-racialism, non-sexism, and the rule of law. Furthermore, at the core of our foreign policy is the commitment we have made to ourselves and to you, Your Excellencies, and your countries, that will always prioritize Africa, our mother continent, in all our endeavors, because we are an integral part of this continent. As we champion diplomacy of Ubuntu, I am because you are. What's good for South Africa must be good for the continent. That the national interests of this country are better safeguarded by a peaceful and secure African continent in a peaceful and secure and developmental world. South Africa's transition to democracy was one of the world's most iconic testimonies of tolerance and peaceful coexistence. Under the stewardship of the father of a democratic South Africa, Nelson Mandela, the country undertook an unwavering dedication to democracy, human rights, selflessness, reconciliation, service to humanity, and a better life for all. The recent attacks on foreign nationals, particularly fellow Africans from various African countries, are a threat to our historical achievements as a nation. Moreover, the attacks go against the democratic values enshrined in the South African Constitution. South Africa is led. This is an ANC, African National Congress-led government, the oldest political movement on African soil, led by Africans, led by Pan-Africanists. It is therefore with a deep sense of shame, of pain, and regret that we, as the South African government, humble ourselves and express our heartfelt apologies to the African continent and indeed to the international community at large for this unwarranted development. The South African government further condemns in the strongest possible terms the recent outbreaks of violent attacks in parts of the country against foreign nationals, particularly fellow Africans, as I said earlier on. The South African government views the attacks on foreign nationals as a criminal offense that will not be tolerated. South Africa is a constitutional democracy governed by laws. Everyone working and living in the country must obey its laws in their totality. No one has the right to take the law into their own hands. The South African government will enforce the laws of the country and will not hesitate to act against criminal activity or those found to incite violence. The South African government will also do everything within its power to ensure the safety of all citizens and foreign nationals, irrespective of their status. Similarly, foreign nationals must meet all legislative and regulatory requirements as prescribed by our immigration and applicable laws and regulations. South Africa is a diverse society that welcomes and promotes interaction among people of different backgrounds. As such, nothing can justify the criminal activity and intolerance that these attacks represent. Solutions can be reached through constructive engagements by working together. South Africa adheres to various United Nations and African Union conventions and protocols relating to the status of refugees. As a country that cherishes human rights, we have to protect the basic rights of every human being within our borders. Your Excellencies, the South African government has thus far responded as follows on these tragic developments. His Excellency President Jacob Zuma, President of the Republic of South Africa, has on a number of occasions provided his leadership on this matter by publicly condemning the unwarranted violent attacks on foreign nationals and the looting of their businesses. President Zuma also appealed for calm and tolerance across the country. The most recent of these statements by His Excellency President Zuma were issued at the National Assembly meeting at our parliament yesterday. His Excellency President Zuma has assigned the Ministers of Home Affairs, on my left here, Honorable Minister Gigaba, the Minister of Police, who's out there in the field at the moment, Honorable Minister Ntleko, and the State Security Minister, Minister David Mahlobo, is here with us today to stop the violence that has broken out in parts of the country, particularly in KwaZulu-Natal province and some parts of Gauteng province. This includes the establishment of the interdepartmental task team to coordinate the response. We actually work in a government cluster on security, led by our Minister of Defense. She's traveling, so Minister Gigaba is also acting Minister of Defense. The government, under the leadership of President Zuma, has also established a panel of experts that has, under the leadership of the former United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, Judge Navi Pillay. Its purpose is to advise the government on the integration of foreigners into the local communities on an ongoing basis. Additional law enforcement officers have been mobilized from around the country and deployed to the affected areas to enforce law and prevent further attacks. Thus far, a number of suspects have been arrested. All district disaster management centers have been placed on high alert, that is, across the country. A 24-hour call center has been established and remains accessible in the event that further attacks of this nature occur in the future. Shelters have been set up to accommodate displaced foreign nationals, and basic amenities such as water, sanitation, and health centers are being provided. The South African government is working closely with the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, United Nations Children's Fund, International Organization of Migration, as well as non-governmental organizations to provide food, psychological and other support to all those affected. The process of reintegrating those who were displaced back into the communities has begun. The Minister of Small Business Development, under Honorable Minister Lindy Zulu, will fast-track the implementation of the National Informal Business Upliftment Strategy, or NIBUS, as part of addressing the concerns and challenges that face the informal business sector. This affects both South Africans and foreign nationals alike. This NIBUS is based on three key pillars, namely skills development among the South African population, exploring partnerships between locals and foreign traders, and reviewing policies and regulations in all our communities. And community engagements are being conducted through the Communities in Dialogue program, community safety forums, ward committees, and through community development workers, amongst others. We're also encouraged by the united stance against the violent attacks against foreign nationals taken by various South African political parties. In addition, there have also been commendable initiatives by ordinary South Africans who have taken a stand against xenophobia in general by organizing peaceful marches in the affected areas, such as in Johannesburg Peace Bus Initiative by a group of young South Africans, but also a very successful march that Minister Mahlobo and were you there?
No, he was there wearing a white T-shirt.
He was wearing a white T-shirt, yes. The march that took place in Durban yesterday. Your Excellencies, in the then Organization of African Unity, OAU Summit, in Tunisia, on the 13th June 1994, President Nelson Mandela had an occasion to mention that, and I quote, "Africa shed her blood and surrendered the lives of her children so that all her children could be free. She gave of her limited wealth and resources so that all of Africa should be liberated. She opened her heart of hospitality and her head so full of wise counsel so that we should emerge victorious. A million times she put her hand to the plow that has now dug up the encrusted burden of oppression that had accumulated for centuries," close quote. South Africa will not forget the hospitality and support we received from fellow Africans during the difficult times of anti-apartheid liberation struggle. Our continent opened her doors and became home for many South Africans who fled the persecution of apartheid government. For many decades, Africans made tremendous sacrifices in fighting side by side with us in war against apartheid, contributing to the freedom we have today. Since the advent of democracy, of democratic governance in South Africa in 1994, we worked cordially with fellow African countries, not only to consolidate bilateral relations, which are flourishing politically, economically, and socially, but also to advance the continental integration. Inspired by the spirit of Pan-Africanism, the motive force of our liberation struggle, South Africa's foreign policy is driven by the vision to achieve a united African continent that is peaceful, democratic, non-racial, non-sexist, prosperous, which contribute to a world that is just and equitable. It was for this reason that we took a conscious decision in 1994 to integrate foreign nationals into our society, rather than establish refugee camps. The recent events require of us to come up with a comprehensive framework aimed at fully and sustainably integrating our fellow African brothers and sisters. South Africa pursues this vision informed by the values I referred to of Ubuntu, humanity. And I think I've highlighted much more on what Ubuntu means to me, to you, and to all of us in this room. South Africa stands unwaveringly against all intolerances such as racism, xenophobia, homophobia, and sexism. The South African government, therefore, urges South Africans not to allow a few individuals to reverse and undermine our historical achievements. Your Excellencies, as I conclude, to allow time for more discussion, let me reiterate the commitment of the South African government working in partnership with your governments and people to address underlying causes of this recurring challenge in our society with a view of seeking sustainable long-term solutions. let the scramble for resources, let the economic downturn and all the challenges that our people are faced with across the globe, across the continent, not reduce us to what we do know ourselves to be. Let us put our heads together. 1 life, 2 lives, 7 lives too many. We should shed no blood when we are faced with challenges of how to self-sustain each other, because we are one. United, we shall forever stand, and divided, we shall fall. Let's all put our heads together. Let's face this demon. Let's fight it together in unity as we have working in unity, defeated the demon of colonialism, racism, and apartheid. Our gathering here today, which I hope will be one of open engagement, is therefore an ideal platform that will facilitate the exploration of lasting solutions of this problem. Merci beaucoup. Modi Brigade, I thank you very much for your attention.
Thanks, Honourable Minister Maite Nkoana-Mashabane, for that statement. Ministers, Excellencies, I'm now going to invite the Dean of the African Diplomatic Corps, Ambassador Mbo. You have the floor.
Thank you, Program Director and Honorable DG. Honorable Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, Honorable Minister of State Security, and Honorable Minister of Home Affairs, senior officials, friends of the DIRCO, colleagues, ambassadors, and high commissioners. For us, this is an important day because we have come together here to try to find solutions to this event, this tragic event which continue to hit our communities. As you all recall, this is not the first time. We experienced this in 2007. We experienced it in 2008. We did experience it last year. And we are experiencing it again this year. It looks like every time it's getting worse and worse. So the Minister, I would like to applaud your effort to bring us together, to discuss, to define the sources of this problem, and resolve them once for all. You have stated correctly that we Africans, when we get together, we can solve any problem. We can climb any mountain. It happened when we decided to fight colonialism. We got together in Ghana, 57, 58. We fight the colonialism until we defeated it. After the colonial period, we realized that apartheid was still hindering around. We got together, apartheid was defeated. So I remain confident that working together, we can defeat this tragic event. We can defeat this spirit of xenophobia so that we can live together. Because if it's allowed to continue, it's our SADC integration that's going to suffer. It's our African unity that is going to suffer. And we should not allow that to happen, because I know we are committed to moving forward as one within our continent. So let's the spirit of Ubuntu not be a slogan, but something that you can to conduct, something that can to guide us, to bring us together in a real life, not just in speeches, not just in the discussions, diplomatic discussions, but our people on the ground should experience the spirit of Ubuntu. That's the only way we're going to overcome these difficulties. So I would like to leave more time for discussions because this is the most important aspect of today's program. Again, I would like to thank you very much for convening all of us. And I think when we walk out of this room, we are going to find some answers. I'm confident that your country has the capacity to resolve this problem, and we are there to support you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ambassador Mboko, on behalf of the African Diplomatic Corps. Now, friends of the media, can I ask you to give the ministers and the ambassadors the chance to interact? You will label the protocol and the officials to conference room next one. Thank you very much for coming.